Welcome, greetings. I am Dr. Jamel D. Carter, President and CEO of the Kayannus Consulting Group Incorporated, where we are a full service management and educational consulting practice where we assist organizations like yours align human capital with organizational strategy. We have a variety of services available to you and your team, such as executive coaching, human resources and organizational development consulting, market research, and intensive boot camps such as our nonprofit formation, business growth, grant writing, fundraising, and advancement. In addition, we offer growth circles, which are intimate groups for leaders to come together for professional development, peer encouragement, and up to date best practices and research. Join a growth circle today. We have circles for CEOs, entrepreneurs, pastors, nonprofit leaders, executive directors, and educational leaders. This is your health and education alert for Wednesday, March 9th, 2022, your source for breaking news, information, trends, and commentary, all designed to assist you in thriving in both life and career. I invite you to like, follow, subscribe, comment, and share. In addition, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Parler at Dr. JD Carter. That is @DRJD Carter, CARTER. In the world of health, there are a couple of stories that I would like to highlight. Novo Nordisk is expanding its existing collaboration in terms of research partnership with the oral drug delivery technologies with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, also known as MIT, and Brigham and Women's Hospital. Scientists from Novo Nordisk and the laboratories of Professor Giovanni Traverso and Professor Robert Langer have been exploring novel technologies as alternatives to syringes and pen injections since 2015, looking to create devices that safely and effectively deliver biologic medicines through oral administration. The combined work of the research teams has resulted in several scientific publications describing their breakthrough work, including SOMA, which is self-oriented millimeter scale applicator robotic pills, which has subsequently been licensed exclusively to Novo Nordisk in clinical development. The new agreement extends the partnership through 2026, expanding the score that expanding the current partnership to include the creation of integration of bioelectronics, biosensors, and stimuli responsive delivery systems. The one takeaway that I think for leaders that this partnership demonstrates is the importance of internal and external partnerships, coalitions, and teams to getting the work done. As a leader, you must be well aware that it will be difficult for you to be successful or to experience long-term success if you're unable to work with both internal and external partners. I think that this is a great partnership between MIT and Novo Nordisk. And I will say that if you are a leader, you should look for partnerships and coalitions that can help bring about the success of your long-term growth plans there at your organization. It was also announced today that Pfizer will begin late-stage testing of its COVID-19 antiviral for kids. The upcoming trials will test the drug at different doses for children as young as 6 years old who test positive for COVID-19 and are not hospitalized, but are also at risk of developing severe disease. Paxlovid, a combination of two antivirals, was authorized in December of 2021 to treat COVID-19 in high-risk individuals 12 years and older who weighed at least 88 pounds. The thing that I think when we're looking at what's going on with Pfizer, as well as what may be happening in your business, you must know innovation takes risk, and leaders must be willing to gamble on their dreams. They must be willing to gamble in terms of innovating. And one of the things you have to understand also when it comes to innovation, sometimes those things you gamble on will not be successful, but you have to understand that growth is a result of learning from both our successes as well as our failures. Moving to the world of education, an appeals court has revived COVID-19 lawsuits. A federal appeals court partially reversed a lower court's ruling against students seeking refunds from American University and George Washington University from moving online during COVID-19. These are two separate lawsuits. The core of these issues is the refusal of both universities to refund students' tuition and fees. The plaintiffs allege that both universities had a contractual commitment to provide in-person education and should have offered at least partial tuition and fee refunds for students who were forced into online classes. One of the things that I think is important to walk away when you're looking at this lawsuit, and also in terms of how you may be putting business together there for your organization, is you may consider act of God provisions in all contracts and agreements. And essentially, an act of God provision probably would have saved these universities here from these lawsuits, which pretty much outlines what will happen in the case of an act of God or something that's beyond the university's control. They could have suspended tuition. They could have said in the act of God provision, in the case of an act of God and courses are moved online, you're still going to have to pay your full tuition. I will say that if you are in business, this is something that you may want to consider putting in place for all contracts and agreements you are developing. In terms of some good news that came out of higher ed that I thought was interesting, BYU, or Brigham Young University, declined $88 million in federal COVID-19 relief funds. BYU, according to spokeswoman Carrie Jenkins, has not applied for, requested, or received any funds from the Department of Education throughout the pandemic. Research uncovered that if they would have, BYU would have received $88 million in COVID relief funds. One of the things I think is important to note is that BYU is a religious institution, but I think what this is not about them being a religious institution. I think that this is a sign that this institution has a firm grasp of proper stewardship and budgeting. And so I think they must be commended for the fact that they did not request the $88 million, that they had plans in place as to how to take care and assist their students who were struggling to meet basic needs during the height of the pandemic. And this is something that should be celebrated. I do think that there were many institutions that received funds as a result of the pandemic, and some of the funds were wasted. Some of the funds were spent purchasing electronic devices that were never able to make it to shore because they were stuck somewhere off the Pacific in a crate. And so I do commend organizations such as BYU that have shown strong fiscal resolve in terms of how to prepare their organization for crises such as what we have seen over the past 2 years. Deion Sanders, the head football coach of Jackson State University, also known as Covet, also known as Coach Prime, I do apologize there, has sounded off asking the Fortune 500 companies, where did the money go? Last year, Forbes reported that U.S. companies had pledged $50 billion to Black communities, and most of it has yet to materialize. During the pandemic, this is a quote from Sanders, during the pandemic, you heard all the Fortune 500 businesses say, we're doing this for HBCUs, we're doing that. He went on to say, where did the money go? Where did the change go? I haven't seen any change. I want to know, where did it go? I'm hearing all these endowments to all these HBCUs. Where did it go? And I think, our major takeaway from this, press releases are okay, but follow through is what's important. Photo ops are common, but there is little follow through in terms of the work that's being done in the trenches when it comes to a lot of these corporate photo ops and press releases. Corporate America and its leaders, know how to put on a show, but it's time that many of them are held accountable to the promises that fail to materialize. One of the things that I think we should remember as leaders, great leaders routinely find ways to avoid their team being stymied with red tape. Their primary question: how can we dissolve this barrier? It's important that as leaders that you do a great job of hiring people and getting out of their way. And a leadership question that I think all leaders should ask themselves: how might our internal processes be improved? If your team eliminated some of the unnecessary paperwork and forms currently being used, there are numerous companies as well as organizations that are using tons of paper and tons of forms that really have no value and no use. They lengthen the time to doing things appropriately for your clients. So as you return back to work from your lunch break, I ask that you ask yourself, what unnecessary processes can I improve on today? The Kayannus Consulting Group's team of consultants and coaches are always here to help you and your organization align your human capital with organizational strategy. For a no-fee consultation, please feel free to contact our offices at 1-800-418-5350. Once again, that number, 1-800-418-5350. I hope the information provided to you in our health and education update was beneficial. We look forward to hearing from you. Take care and have a wonderful rest of your day.